Welcome to part 2 of learning math from ground up. In this video, we will talk about multiplication and division. Here is the multiplication chart that you have to memorize. You can't go anywhere. You can't do any multiplication or division without knowing this. So take your time and make sure that you memorize everything on this page. Okay, here is our first rule. The order of the factors does not affect the product. So just like in the addition, if you change the order, it doesn't change anything, it doesn't affect anything. So if 15 times 34 equals to 34 times square, then we have 15 here, 34 here, 34 here. We need to have 15 here. Square equals to 15, right? Okay, here's the second rule. Any number times 0 is always 0. So 5 times 0 is 0. 0 times 6 is also 0. 8 times 0 is also 0. Alright? If you're multiplying by 10, you add a 0 to the original number. And same goes for 100. You add 2 zeros. When you multiply by 1,000, you add 3 zeros. And however many zeros there are, you add them. Alright? So let's see. What is 64 times 1,000? You just write 64. You add however many zeros there are. In this case, there are 3. The answer is 64,000. Okay, let's do some practice. We just learned how to do this. You just write the number and then add a 0. That's it. So when you're multiplying by 20, it's not too different because we know that 20 is 10 times 2. So we can first multiply by 2 and then multiply by 10. 14 multiplied by 2. 2 times 4 is 8 and 2 times 1 is 2. It's 28, and then you can just add the 0, is 280. When you're writing this multiplication, don't write it like this because this is just a waste of time. You can just write it like this to here, and if like this, if it has a 0 at the end, just shift it over to right. So you can just add the 0 and then do your normal multiplication. Here we can do the same thing. Just write the 6 here and shift 0 to the right. And now we can just bring 0 to down. 6 times 6 is 36. We have 3 here. 6 times 3 is 18. And then you add 3, it's 21. Okay, here's the next problem. Obviously, there isn't always the easy way, so sometimes you just have to do normal multiplication. So it's 101 and 46. You can just write, it doesn't matter where you write them, but I usually prefer writing the larger number on top and the smaller number on the bottom. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 1 is 6. 6. 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 1 is 4. And now you just add them up. 6, 4 plus 0 is 4, 6 plus 0 is 6, and 4, it's 4,646. When we are multiplying by 11, there is an easy way. So to multiply by 11, you just add the 2 digits and place the sum in between. Let me show you. Here we have 42 times 11. You just rip apart the 42 into 4 and 2, and you add them up. In this case, it's 6. And then again, you write 4 on the left and 2 on the right, and you just place the sum in between. The answer is 462. Let's check if it's true. Times 11. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4. Just add them up. 2, 6, 4. Let's do another example. Don't forget to pause the video and try it before I do. 35 times 11. We know the shortcut, so just rip apart the 35 into 3 and 5 and add these numbers. 3 plus 5 is 8, so the answer is 385. So the sum of two digits won't always be single digit. Let's see an example where the sum is double digit. 85 times 11. We can do 8 plus 5 here. We know it's 13. So as we did before, you just write 8 and 5. This time you just write 3 in the middle and carry over the 1. This will become 9. Here it's your turn to do these. Pause the video and write on a piece of paper and later check with a calculator. Okay, here is another rule to make the mental math easier. If you have a single digit multiplied by double digit, you can use this rule. You should start to multiply from left to right. So multiply this and then this. Let's do an example. 5 times 30, just do 5 times 3, which is 15, and add the 0. 5 times 4 is 20, and you just add them up. 0 plus 0 is 0, 5 plus 2 is 7, and you just bring down the 1. 170 is the answer. And here, let me show you what we're actually doing in mathematical way. So what we just did was portions, 30 and 4. 30 plus 4 is 30. And then we used the distributive property and we just multiplied 5 times 30 and then 5 times 4 and we just added them up, which gave us 170. Here is another example. So let's just divide 29 to 20 plus 9 and then use the distributive property. 6 times 20. 6 times 2 is 12 and then add the 0. 6 times 9 is 54. 54. And now we're just going to add them. 0 plus 4 is 4. 5 plus 2 is 7. And then we add the 1. 174. And here it's your turn to do it. Pause the video and answer the questions. But please do the videos. More practice means that you won't forget. Now it's time to learn the division. Division is the exact opposite of multiplication. So if you know your multiplication table and if you know your multiplication rules, then the same could be applied to division. I don't want to confuse you, but I will be using this format instead of this format, where you have the divisor here, dividend here, quotient here, and then your remainder here. I believe that this version is easier and more visually appealing, in my opinion. So I will be using this. After doing a few questions, you will get used to this one as well. But feel free to use this version too. When we are doing division, you can use this symbol, colon symbol used, or a fraction line like this. Here we have 42 divided by 6. You can just write it here like this if you want to. 6 goes into 42 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. It's 0. Usually our goal in division to get remainder to 0, but we will see other cases where it's not 0. So the answer here is 7. Same goes here, it's the exact same thing. 42 divided by 6 is 7. Here is a rule which most people get confused over. Let's look at the first one. When you're dividing 0 by a number, it's 0. So let's do a proof of this. 0 divided by 4. What number can you multiply 4 by to get 0? Yes, it's 0. If you multiply 0 times 4, it's going to give you 0, and the answer will be 0. So if you divide 0 by any number, it will give you 0. However, here we have 4 divided by 0. Let's do the same thing. What number can you multiply 0 to get 4? There is no number. If you multiply by 1, it'll give you 0, and here it's going to give you 4 again. So if you multiply by 0, let's try that. 0 times 0 is 0, and then it's going to give you 4 again. It will keep going like this. So there is no defined number to multiply 0 by that number to get 4. As I just said, there is no defined number. That means that this answer is undefined. A number divided by 0 is always undefined. 8 divided by 0 is undefined. 9 divided by 0 is undefined. Okay, let's go to the rules that you should definitely memorize. You should have already memorized from the previous video. It's the same rule. If two signs are next to each other like this, you're multiplying them. Positive times negative is negative. And a negative times positive is also negative. If you're multiplying two different signs, it's negative. If you're multiplying the same signs, then the answer is positive. When doing the division, it's the exact same thing. So negative, negative, and positive, positive. Remember to definitely memorize these. Here's another rule. On the fraction line, negative could be put anywhere. So negative 2 over 5 is the exact same thing as saying 2 over negative 5. The numerator and the denominator can be simplified by dividing by the same number, or expanded by multiplying by the same number, right? There should be 3 over 2 here. Let's just add 3 over 2. And so if you want to expand them, you can just multiply both sides by any same number. Let's pick 5. 3 times 5, 15. 2 times 5 is 10. So 15 over 10 is the same thing as 3 over 2. And you can also simplify them by dividing by the same number. So if you divide both numbers, so you have to first look what number can be used to divide both of them. You can use 5. In this case, 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. So 20 over 35 is the same as 4 over 7. Let's do some examples. Here we can get rid of zeros, and 12 over 4. You can divide both of them by 4. So we have 1 left here. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So we have 3 here. Minus, get rid of the zeros, 20 over 5. Let's divide both of them by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 4 over 1 is 4. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Here, let's do inside the parentheses first. You could also use the distributive property, but it would be longer, so let's do inside the parentheses first. And we're multiplying by 11, so we can use the shortcut that we use for 11. 100 minus 25. 0 minus 5, you can't do that, so we're just gonna get from here but we can't get it, so we're just gonna go to the next one. This will become 0, this will become 10, but we're gonna give 1 to right, so 9 and then 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. The answer is 75, but we're not done yet. We have to multiply 75 by 11. 75 by 11. And we know the shortcut, so just let's rip apart the 75 into 7 and 5. 7 plus 5 is 12, but we can't write 12, so we're just gonna write the 2 and then carry over the 1, and then this will become 8. This will become 8. The answer is 825. So now we're here. 12 times 41. We can just write them. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. And now we will add them. 2, 8 plus 1 is 9, and 4. Now let's do the second part. 32 times 17. 7 times 2 is 14. We write the 4. 7 times 3 is 21. We carry over the 1 is 22. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. And now let's add them. 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus 2 is 5. We have 544. And now let's complete 492 minus 544. I just moved things around to make it look neater. When adding two different signed numbers, we write the sign of the biggest. In this case, it's minus, and then we simply subtract the largest from the smallest. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 9. You can't subtract 4 minus 9, so we just get 1 from the next number. In this case, this will become 4 and this will become 14. 14 minus 9 is 5, and 4 minus 4 is 0. So we have negative 52. Here we have a question that is asking what the triangle is. So we multiplied 15 by something to get 60. So what we're doing is, just to find this, obviously we're going to do a division. Let's just divide both by 15. 15 divided by 15 is 1. 60 divided by 15 is 4. So we get triangle equals to 4. Here, these are our last practice. We just completed all the rules. 196 divided by 14. We have 114 inside 19. 9 minus 4 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. 56. We have 14 4 times inside 56. We get 56, and then which equals to 0. So our first number is 14. 256 divided by 16. We have ones inside 25. 25 minus 16 equals to 9. And we have 96. We have 16 goes into 96 6 times. 96, we get 0, 0. Our second number is 16. 14 minus 16 is negative 2. Here it's asking us to find triangle. Triangle minus 6, and then times 296 minus 153. It's actually supposed to give us a number here, so let's just write a number, 252. So this equation will equal to 252. Let's first do inside the parentheses. We know what numbers these are. 279, 150 minus 153. 9 minus 3 is 6. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. 126. We have triangle minus 6 times 126 equals to 252. There are multiple ways of doing these, so you could use distributive property and then try to solve it, or we could just divide both sides by 126. This will equal to 1. Let's just divide 252 by 126. 252 divided by 126. 126 goes into 252 2 times, and you get 0 remainder. So here we have 2. So finally we have triangle minus 6 equals to 2. We can add 6 to both sides. Add 6. These will cancel each other out. Triangle will equal to 8. Now let's do this one. Let's first multiply 14 times 12. We can write it like this to make it easier. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 1 is 1. 8, 6, and 1. We have negative 160, because remember, a negative number times a positive number is a negative number. So it's negative 168 times 10. When multiplying by 10, we just write the number and then add a 0. Here it's asking us what the b is. So we can just write the b, and then we can multiply 5 times negative 2 is negative 10 equals to 230. We can divide both sides by negative 10 to have our b alone. This will give us 1, and zeros will cancel. So b equals to negative 23. Here, these questions are for you to do. I am just leaving it. You can write the answers in the comment section. Thank you.